Hey guys, Snoozy here going through Torchlight 3. For this video we're going to be going over the Dusk Mage, which is by far my favorite class in Torchlight 3. For those of you who do not know, Torchlight 3 is a new action RPG that came out probably about a week or two ago. It's more towards Diablo 3 than Path of Exile. So the reason I say it's more like Diablo 3 is Path of Exile has a lot of complexity to it. I mean, literally just open up their tree and look at it. And, like, it's massive. There, what, how many are there? 6 classes in that game that all share a talent tree that is massive. You have cluster jewels that make it even bigger, and you expand on there depending on what stats are in the cluster jewels. There's a lot of complexity. I know a lot of people that don't like Path of Exile because there's so much complexity, and they just don't have time to learn everything. Every league I play, I learned something new that I should have learned, 5 years ago. But hey, just now learning it now because there's so much. This game takes the Diablo 3 approach where there's not very much complexity. There's still enough to make your character be different than other players. And you can play it the way you want to, which is great. Different people like different things. Path of Exile is not for everybody. I absolutely love Path of Exile. It is my action RPG of choice. I cannot stand Diablo 3. However, I do enjoy Torchlight 3. I feel like they did a really good job. The studio behind it has been listening to a lot of feedback from the players. There's a lot of different issues with the game, but it's still a pretty solid game. The reason I like the Dusk Mage mostly is because of their passive. It has a lot of, well, I guess there's not a lot, but there's complexity to it. Essentially, if you look at the bottom here, you can see that you have like the light bar, the dark bar over there, and then over here you have the center, which is your mana. Your mana is just plain mana, does nothing special. You need to cast abilities. So if you don't have mana, you're not going to be able to do really anything but auto attack. So need this, super important. But you use your mana to spend your spells from one of your two trees. You have a light tree and a dark tree. You spend mana, it does the desired effect of either light or dark and does damage. You will gain some of the progress in your bar depending on which spell you cast. Now if you hit both bars to the top here, you'll go into your super powerful form, which I forget the name of. Harmonic form is the name of it. It's under the tier 3 bonus there. You go into harmonic forms, you'll gain additional damage. I believe you also get a little bit more mana regen, and when you hit it, your mana will fully fill up, so then you can just start nuking stuff right off the bat. So you want to be using light and dark to make sure that you're getting the full amount of damage you can out of your class. So in the light tree here, we have the Holy Bolt skill. It just shoots a little Holy Bolt projectile that does not pierce. Hits your target for 250% weapon damage. This is the starting skill that you'll be getting. It can have a different effect depending on how many more skills you put in due to the synergy. The synergy works a lot like it did in Diablo 2 if you're familiar with it. So essentially, if you look at tier 2 bonus, 6 more skill points there. If I put 6 skill points into the skill, I will get 20% light skill damage. And now that light skill damage will apply to any of these abilities that do light damage. So even though I might not be using Holy Bolt, maybe I want Absolver to do 20% more damage. I would need to put 6 points into here. Maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. It's going to be for you to figure out how it plays into your playstyle, if it's enough of a bonus, and what you really want to be doing. So on your tier 1 bonus here, every third cast fires a larger bolt that deals 50% more damage. Pretty useful when you're trying to, just kill a boss or something. If you only have the one target you're trying to hit. We already talked about the tier 2 bonus. It's amazing. Probably going to need it to be doing your max damage anyways. Tier 3 bonus. While in harmonic form, fire 2 holy bolts. So remember, harmonic form is if you get your light and dark bar up to 100%, you enter your harmonic form, and you'll get those extra projectiles. Radiant Blast is an AoE ability that does 210% weapon damage. It's decently strong. I don't really use it very much. If you put 3 points into it, it will infuse enemies, and then those enemies will take 20% weapon damage per second for 4 seconds. So essentially, it'll do 80% more weapon damage over a course of 4 seconds. So 6 points, all of your basic attacks will do 30% more damage, which is nice. Tier 3, infused enemies explode on death for 400% weapon damage, infusing enemies hit by the explosion. So you can kind of do a chain effect here. Pretty strong for clearing trash if you put 10 points in there. I'm not sure if it's the best use of 10 points, though, because that is a lot of points. But it's an option. It's definitely fun to use, at least. Consecration is a very powerful skill, probably a mandatory one in my opinion. Everyone in your blessed circle gained 35% more damage. The Dusk Mage gains an additional 15% per ally in the circle, and I believe the ally also counts as a minion, so if you're playing it as a minion class and they're in the circle, you get additional damage. Your Tier 1 bonus is its 25% larger area of effect. It knocks back enemies. I hate knockback, but the 25% larger effect is nice. Your Tier 2 bonus is a chance to become intangible on potion use. I've never actually put 6 points in here, so I'm not exactly sure what that does specifically. But we can Google that later and figure that out. So, Tier 3 bonus, Consecration. It'll heal for 3% total health per second, which is pretty massive. It's a lot of healing. And seeing as how each point increases your Consecration buff damage, it's probably not a bad idea to just put the 10 points in there if you happen to spare anyways. Light Spear is a giant spear that you will throw. It does a massive 870% weapon damage, and it pierces all targets. If you're in the harmonic form, which is, again, you have to have the light and dark bar filled, it'll heal 20% total health per enemy hit with the Light Spear. Now your Tier 2 bonus is your harmonic form is a 50% duration, which is massive. Even if I'm not using the spear, I make sure I have that Tier 2 bonus because that is just so strong. Your Tier 3 bonus is while you're in harmonic form, you also throw a dark spear. Again, very strong. Unfortunately, it does have a longer cooldown. So I don't know how useful it's really going to be in the end, but it is a really fun skill. Next up, Holy Fury, probably one of my favorite skills for the Dusk Mage. It's really strong, at least it seems to be that way. It's a giant laser beam that does 330% weapon damage over time, and it slows enemies by 50%. Your Tier 1 bonus is 30% Holy Fury mana cost, so less mana, good, not going to run out as much, perfect. Tier 2 bonus is insanely strong. It's 10% flat critical hit chance for all light skills. Pretty insane, especially because the skill itself is really strong. Tier 3 bonus, the width is doubled, which is just nice for some extra clear speed, easier to hit your target, etc. Very strong skill. I kind of held all my points until I could get this skill, and then just dumped them in there and became a god for a long time. Highly recommend Holy Fury. Luminous Run is a skill I don't use very often. It is a dash forward and enter the spectral plane. You move faster and can pass through enemies. It's a movement skill. You'll get another movement skill on the dark side as well, but this is all. So every point you put in here is going to increase the duration that you're running for, or that you can do your Luminous Run for, I guess. If you activate it with your Tier 1 bonus, it'll heal you for 25% total health, which is really nice, especially if your potions are on cooldown and you just got slammed by something. The Tier 2 bonus is 10% damage to your Relic skills. If you're going to be focusing off Relics, that's also really strong. With my Dusk Mage, I like to run Electrode and run the Localized Storm for massive amount of damage, so not a bad trade-off there. Your 3 bonus is it makes you immune to damage for 1 second. So, could be strong. I personally prefer to use the other movement skill that we'll get to, but this is a strong contender. So, Absolver will fire 3 piercing bolts, and they deal 260% weapon damage. If you're in harmonic form, you charge enemies for 2 seconds, making them explode every second for an additional 260% weapon damage per burst. So, Absolver is pretty strong on paper. I'm not sure how strong it'll be in-game. I'm currently trying to build around it, plus some other dark skills. We'll see how it goes. I think it might require some legendaries to be really strong. There's a legendary that when you cast Holy Bolt, you will also cast Absolver, which I think will be very strong. I haven't been able to get my hands on that legendary yet, but I'm going to be trying to get it, and we'll see how it goes. So the Absolver's missiles travel 25% faster and 25% less mana to cast. It's your tier 1 bonus. I struggle with mana on my Dusk guy a lot, so I like these mana reductions. They're really strong. Tier 2 bonus, 10% damage to blind, slowed, or stunned enemies. That's kind of okay. If you do any of that, that's pretty strong. Because again, that should be flat across all abilities because it doesn't say light or dark. So I would assume it goes across both trees. Tier 3 bonus, Absolver now fires 5 missiles up from the 3 that it normally does. So now starting on the dark tree, you will get your Unholy Bolts, which will fire 3 Serpentine Bolts towards your foes for 170% weapon damage each. Now, these are harder to aim because Serpentile means that they will kind of do a snake shape, like I'm doing with my mouse there. Can be difficult to hit. Tier 1 bonus, you get 1 more bolt, and Tier 2 bonus is all dark skill damage, just 20% more damage. So if you're going to be using a lot of dark skills, this is really strong. Your Tier 3 bonus will add 2 more bolts to each cast, so you'll be shooting 5 instead of 3. This skill plus Absolver and some of the other ones are what I'm currently trying to build around. We'll see how it goes. Dark Spears is nice for crowd control a little bit. It's a 50% slow in an AoE area, and it does 80% weapon damage every second. So your 3-point bonus is 50% duration for the Dark Spears, which is nice. Sometimes you don't have time to cast it up again and you're actively slowing stuff, and that's what you need. So it can be really nice. Tier 2 bonus is a 10% cooldown for Dusk Mage skills, which is across the board again. A lot of Dusk Mage skills have cooldowns, so this is really strong. Your Tier 3 bonus, Dark Spears now immediately hits the area for 100% weapon damage. Again, nice upfront damage, but it is only 100%. So it might not be that strong. Shadow Step is your second movement skill. It is the equivalent of Luminous Run, but it's on the shadow side. It's a straight up teleport. Your Tier 1 bonus, if you hit enemies at the starting location, gain 5% per mana hit. Per enemy hit. So really strong if you have like a couple enemies on you, you get your mana back real quick and you're away from them. Tier 2 bonus, 15% increased mana regeneration. I actually didn't know that was a thing until just now, which makes me like the skill a lot more. Because like I said, I run into mana problems. Tier 3 bonus, Shadow Step has an additional charge. Always welcome. Could always use another charge. Spirit Well, summon a portal into the Nether Realm, taking control of evil monsters. You do 20% of your weapon damage to any monster in your way. Nice little minion summon here. They last for 15 seconds, cooldown to 16 seconds, so that's pretty high uptime. Your Tier 1 bonus adds a Spectral Netherrealm Warrior to the Spirit Well. He seems squishy, but again, another minion. Tier 2, 65% damage bonus to your pets. So again, that should be across the board, and that should affect relics. So if you're picking Bane and getting all those spiders, that's another 65% damage for those. Tier 3 bonus is a Spectral Netherrealm Brute. I haven't actually unlocked him yet, so hopefully he's a little bit better than the Warrior. Energy Spike is another skill that I'm currently working on building. It's a series of cascading chaotic spikes that strike enemies for 570% weapon damage. Pretty strong, does a lot of damage. If you're in your harmonic form, you fire double the number of energy spikes, which is really nice. Tier 2 bonus is 50% more harmonic form duration. So if you get this and the spears, you'll stay in harmonic form 100% longer, which is really nice. You're really powerful in your harmonic form. Especially if you get your Tier 3 bonus, which is when you're in harmonic form, you fire an extra wave of light energy spikes. So this skill is the opposite of your spear. Your spear shoots like in one little line, like a spear would. This shoots in an AoE. Your spear is light, but it will make a dark spear. This is dark, but it will make light spikes. So they work pretty similar-ish. Really strong skill. I like this one. Damnation, I think if you play on ridiculous difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty, this is a mandatory skill. It's 50% less damage while standing in the damnation area of effect, and it lasts for 4 seconds thereafter. Now, the more points you put in this also increase the duration effect. So, let's say even if you decide to do 1 point and that's it, as long as you keep this up on your enemies, they're doing 50% less damage for 1 point. Your tier 1 bonus, hitting an enemy affected by damnation, returns 5% mana on a 1 second cooldown. So I'm pretty sure this means that if you have damnation on 5 monsters and then you throw a spear through them and hit all 5, you're going to get 5% mana instead of the 25 because there's that 1 second cooldown. Your tier 2 bonus is the relic energy charge rate, so you'll get your relic energy faster. If you're going to be going with something like Electro, this can be really nice because relic energy is really strong. Tier 3 bonus, damnation costs no mana, always great, and immobilizes enemies for 1 second. Entropy is the big boy skill for your dark skills here. It fires an unstable dark energy ball that hits for 100% weapon damage and fires off pieces of itself that hit for the same. So if you guys are familiar with Diablo 2, this is like a watered down version of Frozen Orb. Shoots way less projectiles, doesn't slow them or freeze them, but it's about the same concept. If you do your tier 1 bonus, it lasts 50% longer and moves 50% slower, which means it can hit more often. It's spitting out more bolts. Pretty good. Tier 2 bonus, all dark skills get 10% critical hit. Also strong if you're using a lot of dark skills. Tier 3 bonus, I really enjoy. Entropy triggers dark explosions for the skill's current weapon damage, but costs 30% more mana. So what, if it's 5 mana, 30% more, 1.5 or so, 6.5 mana. So 1.5 mana increase, whoop-de-doo. I think it's worth it. So again, that's going to be your skills. You got your light and your dark. You're going to have to make sure you do both of them for your passive here. And then for the relics, like I've been saying, I really enjoy Electrode because of Localized Storm. It's so powerful. It does a ton of damage. I notice my damage increase a lot when it's up. If you want to go pet, Bane is going to be very strong because you get your spectral spiders that do damage that you summon. Plus, if you go poison with them, whenever you hit a poison enemy, it's 10% chance to summon a spider. 2 spiders, actually. And then the Puppet Master passive, 5 points, so 25% increased minion damage, which would affect your Spirit Well that you get as being a Dusk Mage. So, I think Bane would be a good choice as well if you wanted to go the pet route. Those are the 2 I would pick. I really do not like Cold Heart as a relic at all. I don't know, maybe you guys like it. I do not recommend it. I would go with Electrode or Bane for Dusk Mage. But again, this game has a lot of different stuff you can do, a lot of different ways to play. Your legendaries can do a lot of different stuff. It's really going to be up to you to build the character the way you want to play. So, I still recommend Electrode. It's so fun, it's so satisfying, but yeah, that's the... Alright guys, so for a little bit of a skill preview, I'm not going to show them all because I don't have enough spectacles to respec and everything, so I'm just going to kind of show what I've been building with. So up first, we're going to have the energy spikes. I do have the tier 3 bonus for this, but since I'm doing this in the fort, you won't be able to see the extra light waves. It's literally the same thing, but they're light. They just shoot out a couple spikes like that, and that's literally all they do. They go back on cooldown, and they do some more. So they travel in different little paths there, as you see. It's never the same thing. Like that one actually came up behind me. So they're pretty random. I generally run up to something and then use it. As you can see with 9 points in there and a bonus level 1, so level 10, I think. It's 1100 weapon damage. So they hit really hard. Then we have the damnation skill. This is the one that reduces the damage done. Just real simple. Puts it down on the ground. Any monsters that will step into that will do 50% reduced damage. Consecration is the ability that makes it so you do more damage while standing in it, and so do your allies. The more allies in it, the more damage you do. So as you can see, I put it down. You can see the little circle here, indicating that I'm in it. And it also has my pet. That makes me wonder if pets will do it as well. So you'll get that additional damage. And if you noticed, it was spitting out a lot of poison there. And the reason for that is the King Snaggletooth legendary I have equipped. So Consecration also deals nearby damage. So that's what that poison effect was. Next up, we are going to have Entropy. This is the Frozen Orb knockoff that I was talking about. It's one of my favorite skills, the way it looks. We'll go ahead and throw it out there. And that's literally all it does. It just, flies around shooting orbs everywhere. Not nearly as impressive as Frozen Orb, but still really fun. Next up, we're going to have the Light Spear. I do not have enough to throw the Dark Spear in as well, but I have enough for the Harmonic Form duration, because I really like staying in the Harmonic Form. Get 2 charges of it before it goes on cooldown. Shadow Step, this is your movement ability for the dark side. My internet is terrible, like literally god awful, and this desyncs me half the time. But essentially you put where you want to go, and you teleport around. You get 2 charges by default. Get that tier 3 bonus, you'll get your 3rd additional charge. I am using the class weapon. So as you can see, my auto attacks are just this little arm that comes out. It's like a cleave ability. And then I have Absolver as well. I don't have all the points to make Absolver shoot the additional projectiles. That's what I'm currently working on. So right now we just have those 3 different projectiles. So that's the current build that I'm working towards. There's a lot of legendaries I need to make this work still. I have no idea if it's the best way of playing, but these are the abilities that I find to be really fun. So I'm going to keep playing with it and seeing where we can go from there. With all that said, I really like the Dusk Mage. It is my favorite out of the 4 classes. If you like Mage classes, I highly recommend picking it up and trying it. Unfortunately, Dusk Mage does not seem to come online until about level 15. Once you start getting your Holy Beam, once you get that, you can pretty much breeze through the rest of the game and then respec later if wanted, or start picking up the other skills if that's what interests you. Before that, it can be a slog and kind of suck, honestly. I didn't really start enjoying it until about level 15, but hey, maybe you'll like the earlier skills, maybe they'll work for you, and if so, that's great. You'll have an easy time leveling. I highly recommend the Dusk Mage, and now that you've seen their skills, hopefully the Dusk Mage is something that appeals to you. If not, go ahead and check out some of my other videos. They're probably going to be up in a couple days because this is actually the first one I'm making. I'm going to make one for each of the different classes, hopefully. I just got to get some time to sit down and play with them. So if Dusk Mage is not yours, but you want to see a similar style video, check back or check out my other videos depending on when you read this video. So that's all there is for this Dusk Mage. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, comments, did I say something wrong, go ahead, put them in the comments, anything like that. Reach out to me and let me know.